Hey, hello. We're live and we're going to be talking about Silo Season 3, Episode 7. I believe the name was Radio.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not the radio, just radio. One word. Um, and I enjoyed the episode. There was a few things that I was surprised about. Like going in, I was expecting a full, like we talked about this last week. I was expecting a full Before Times episode where we were just going to learn everything and it was going to be like, the payoff for this long car ride. And then we just went outside and I was like, holy hell, like this is not what I was expecting,
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I there's some stuff I really like in this, and there's some stuff I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys about. Why don't we have you introduce yourselves, and I'll find your links and post those while you're talking, and just what you thought about this episode, initial impressions. What do you think about it after having a day to think a little bit deeper? And so go ahead, Gab.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Miscellaneous Gab. I'm here on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, breaking down all my favorite shows and reacting to them, movies, etc. When I first watched this episode, I had no idea how to feel about it. Not that I didn't like it, but I just felt like I was so disoriented after it. Like I almost had whiplash from watching it because so much is going on. And obviously we all pay attention to the show. I'm sure everyone in the chat pays attention to the show, but even for people who are fans and pay attention to shows and aren't like on their phones when they're watching the show, even then I felt like I had to pay pretty extra attention to this episode because there's a lot there. I think the next 3 episodes are going to cover a lot. There were some things in this episode I didn't love as much or had me scratching my head. Like you said, Pete, it definitely didn't go the way I predicted it to at all. But I'm excited because there's so much for all of us to chat about and theorize about.
Yeah. You bring up a good point. Like, not only was it not what we expected, but there was just a ton of different stuff going on. A lot of connections to the show's past, a lot of hints about, the history of the characters and their past. So there was definitely a lot to take in. Chris, what did you think about the episode?
Yeah. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Cris. You can find me on TikTok as Cris Cinema. I cover all things film, TV, award season, lots of reviews, recommendations for new things coming out. And I do Silo recaps and other theory videos every single week. I feel like I've had a little bit of a roller coaster with this episode where I think it was a really exciting and fun episode to watch. It definitely had a faster pace. I was like you, Pete, I was like, oh my God, they're already going outside. They had a lot of like high pressure situations, with the bomb going off and giving Juliette this trolley problem. And, we got Charlotte back. So there was a lot of new elements and things that kept it exciting. I think there was part of me that almost found the possibility of the bomb going off to be kind of tantalizing. Like I was so ready for the show to just do this huge ballsy move. And I feel like a lot of times the show will kind of tease things out like they're going to do something a little bit bigger and more confident, and then they always shy away from it. So I feel like part of me was almost disappointed rather than relieved. And I was like, okay, well, it kind of just ended up exactly where I thought it would. But I also hadn't considered all of the different theories of things that could have happened to Patrick, Kennedy, and Lucas. I think I was viewing it as a little bit too, I was taking it at face value at first. So I actually think there is a little bit more interesting scenarios that have come out of this episode. But I still thought it was super exciting, and there's so many things to talk about. And obviously with the past storyline, I think we're finally at the point where we're going to learn a lot more next week. But yeah, I'm excited to dive into it a little bit more.
So you wanted to see innocent people dying from the consequences of their actions, their decisions, huh?
Absolutely. No, I don't know. I'm
Going to
not
see
really like
people
a,
had no idea what's going on, didn't do anything to anyone, and just getting that poison gas treatment because that's the price that they have to pay.
I'm generally not a bloodthirsty TV watcher. I was just kind of,
I'm so surprised to hear that.
I don't know. I was just kind of ready for the show to just do something ballsy, you know. But I think we're in for a good last 3 episodes. So I'm okay with how this episode turned out. I just had a bit of like a up and down with how much I sat on it.
Yeah, I was just teasing you, of course. I did really like the way that this episode led with that bit about Anthony and just how clueless everyone else is, because we only follow the people who know what's going on, and they, you know, the different sides of that know a little bit more or less based on their position in the conflict. And Anthony, we know who he is. We had the little story about him stealing and things like that and getting sent away to labor in the supply level or whatever, and I don't know. I thought that was a good idea, because we kind of forget about the regular people and how that's going to affect them. And a lot of people are asking the question, did she really put the vitamin D plus in the water? At least for me, I feel 100% confident that has happened. And people who don't know about it are currently drinking the water and slowly forgetting.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind about that either at this point.
Yeah, I think if there was going to be a reveal, it would have been from Sims, because I know a lot of people had the theory that he was going to do a little switcheroo, so maybe it wouldn't happen. But instead, we just got the warning from him to have some silo wine instead.
Yeah, this Good D's 123 says, what was the point of even the journal reading by the Flamekeeper? And I think that is what I was going to say, was the clue that pretty much seals the deal, is that the point of it is that's what's going to happen to all these people. Like, that's the threat of what's about to go down. And it's happened before, and this was the show telling us it could happen again. I can also use this as a way to remind everyone that I have read the books. I read them before the show came out, and discussed them pretty thoroughly at this point. But one of the reasons I'm a fan of them. I enjoy the books, but it makes covering the show a little bit difficult at times, because it is so much about why are they there and the speculation. And I can't really do any of that in good faith, because they haven't really changed that. They changed a lot of details, but the story itself, the core of it, remains the same. So none of it's all that surprising to me. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do streams was to have non-book readers come on here, and you guys have been generous with your time and come on and let me live vicariously through your speculation. So one of the things about the vitamin D plus is it is slow. So we don't know what the ticking clock is, but there is one. And as you pointed out, Chris, they injected a much more before the episode ends ticking clock with the bomb sequence. The one thing that we talked about a lot last week was the sort of the ticking clock in the relationship between Robert and Camille. And I thought that this episode really kind of just continued on that path that it started. It's still getting better. Like they're really kind of they have a good measure of what they can do with the tensions inside that relationship, which we'll get to. overall, otherwise, like I said, I think we'll talk about Lucas and Kennedy and the before credits mission to get them outside, and then we'll kind of touch on everyone because they're all kind of related to that. So yeah, Lucas and Kennedy. This set up one of my. First of all, it was pretty hilarious to me that Mr. I want to go outside. Everybody needs to go outside. Suddenly changed his tune when he was given the opportunity. What did you guys think about that?
Yeah, he talks a big game, and he's put a lot of people's lives in jeopardy to try to get people outside, like during the rebellion and after the rebellion. And then finally he has the opportunity to take one for the team and seems to get cold feet. But then even that, he has conditions on it. Like he just wants to go frolic around because he still believes so hard that it's going to be sunshine and rainbows outside. So I get a kick out of Kennedy. I really hope he's not gone. I feel like we might lose him in general in this season if we haven't already lost him. But he's such a great comedic relief, and I could relate, not that I can relate to that, but I mean, I think it's a very human thing to maybe get cold feet before something, or to have an oh shit moment where you've bitten off more than you can chew. So I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah, definitely. And I love Lucas too. Like, I think he is the voice of reason we need because he's so blunt. He's like, you spent months saying you want to go out and now you don't. Yeah. So he's the voice we need to hear. But I did feel a little bit bad when they were just sending him out, even though he did not understand any of the codes or, didn't give him a radio. And I was originally taking that as like, oh, he's gonna go, right? Because they're gonna try to make us feel bad about the fact that they're not really adequately prepping him to go out. But that detail might actually come back in a different way.
Yeah, I love that. And the other thing that I really liked about this was that Kennedy has always been good as, like you said, Gab, as comic relief. He's the guy who just says something to lighten the mood when you need that in a scene, because a lot of this stuff is really desperately grim, I thought that, that's the way I kind of pictured the character. That's the way I thought of the character. And whenever he was going out, and I thought what you were just talking about, Chris, that he was going to be the one that was going to be the sacrificial lamb, because really, like, what value does he have beyond that for what they're trying to do? I realized that I didn't want him to go. Like, I didn't want to lose him. I had felt kind of invested into the character,
I'm also curious on like what his actual skills are at the end of the day, because I think we talked about this on the last stream. He's a professional. Like he's great at agitating the situation. He's good at kind of bulldozing his way through. But it seems like ultimately they really need somebody specific for this goal, unless, I don't know, do you guys think they're just fine with Kennedy dying or living and they just need someone there to kind of escort Lucas, and Lucas is the one who is really the person who's most apt to solve this problem? I find him, of all people, as a selection, knowing he can be a bit of a wild card, kind of interesting.
I think it's exactly that. Like, I think Lucas is more the priority, but you just always have to send out two people, and without Knox or Shirley, I guess he's just next up and not considered too valuable to the silo that they couldn't sacrifice, right?
Yeah, and I think that was the reason that he was offered up by Juliette to the algorithm, was because the algorithm wanted to get rid of him. They were trying that, he was a problem. They couldn't find him or Lucas, and they were agitators. So that's why she picked him. But that's the way I thought about it, because she was giving the algorithm something that it wanted at Kennedy's location. This post here is something I've seen a lot since the episode. We have no idea what happened to Lucas and Patrick Kennedy. the radio message saying that they were in Silo 17 was likely false. And I wanted to get your guys' take on this. The one thing that I really had in my notes and wanted to get into my recap that I just somehow forgot to do was the detail about them. When he does call, there's a lot going on, but when he does call and they get the message, for one thing, to me, it sounded like Kennedy because he says, "Who the fuck is Donnie?" Which that's something that Patrick Kennedy would say and something that maybe the algorithm wouldn't do. But the other part is that he did remember those code names that you're talking about, Chris, the code words that they barely told him. And to me, that was the evidence that it's really him. I didn't really, and like I said, a lot of this stuff isn't directly from the book anymore. So, of course I have ideas that are based on knowing where things are going or whatever. But as far as the episode was concerned, I took that as actually being Patrick Kennedy, because of the code name. Yeah.
I was a bit torn on it because at first, I'm sure like many of us, when we hear them quote go out over the radio, I was thinking there's no way that these two characters are going to be killed off screen if there's no body. Like, I don't believe it. So I had this feeling they were still there, but then by the end, him coming back felt too convenient. Like right when Juliette was going to blow the bombs and cause a big problem. And in my mind, I'm calculating, they went out the night before. It's now the next evening. That's 24 hours of time. What the heck were they doing for 24 hours? Like Silo 17 is not that far away. So I don't know, did they have to repair the radio? Just my mind started going off and I felt it like, I don't think this is as simple as it seems. And isn't Lucas the one with the radio and not Patrick? So is the AI able to imitate their voice, and have they been listening this whole time? Because Walker and Juliette and them are not exactly being subtle about the way they're talking about their plans. Like suddenly all the outsiders are there and everyone knows Bernard is there and everyone's just chit-chatting in places we know are probably mic'd up. So my initial thought was that's not Kennedy, but he's not necessarily dead.
Yeah, I think my journey with it was I was just so focused on the fact that, there's no way they died, right? Because like you said, we didn't see a body and it just would have felt completely anticlimactic to bring back Lucas like that. And then, okay, he's gone and that's it, right? So I was so focused on that when they radioed in, I'm like, of course, obviously they're alive. And then I opened up Instagram and I watched your Instagram, Gab, and then you were giving your theories and I was like, oh my God, I'm such a complete idiot. So then watching the episode again and thinking about it, I do feel like there's something up because obviously that is they emphasize those code words so much. And so I think the fact that it was coming from Kennedy when they emphasized that he hadn't memorized them is very suspect. But I guess my question is like, if they were like captured or forced to say something, then why isn't Lucas the one talking since he was the one with the radio? Unless something did in fact happen to him, like he was shot and it is just only Patrick Kennedy that's alive. Or like you brought up, it could be like an AI voice of some sort, but I'm not sure which possibility it is.
Yeah, I went back and listened to it a few times. The attack, obviously, and you do hear Lucas scream at the end. Like that's the last thing before it cuts out. So if one of them was injured, that was, or shot, or I guess killed, but like you guys, I never really thought they were going to die. I thought they were going to die until they went out. And then the way it was presented, I was like, okay, they're not dead. They're going to make it to the other silo or whatever.
But then why do you think the algorithm's voice was so confident in saying they had been neutralized? Like, do you think they played dead, or they thought they took them out, or it was nighttime and they couldn't see very well? Because I totally feel all of you on that. But then like, why would, if the algorithm has an eye in the sky or knows what's going on, why would it say they're neutralized if they're waltzing into 17 and they're all good. Or unless they were only temporarily neutralized, and that's what took them 24 hours to get out.
That's what I would point out, is that it said they were neutralized.
Yeah.
It didn't say they've been eliminated. It didn't say they'll no longer be a threat. All of those other ways they could have described it. And that's sort of the way I was thinking about it. I agree that at first I was like, why would it lie to Camille? That was my initial reaction, because if she finds out, that could be a real problem. But then I realized that, well, technically that's not a lie. They were in some capacity, they were neutralized. They weren't talking to Silo 18 anymore. They weren't, maybe they wouldn't be able to return or something along those lines. This question from Jim Rodney, thank you for the $9.99. Anyone else find it weird that, assuming the algorithm was behind the attack on Kyle and Kennedy, why they were attacked trying to get to Silo 17 while Juliette was allowed to get to Silo 17 unhindered? So one thing about what you were just saying, Gab, about the whole, one of the things I thought was part of the setup of what the story the show was telling was that Juliette screwed things up by going at night. You mentioned this just now, Gab, that maybe the attack, we're all in agreement this was a drone strike, right? That's the way it plays.
Sounded like it.
Yeah. So we'll call it a drone strike, and maybe later we'll find out that's not exactly right, but that's the way it was presented, right? So the drone strike wasn't 100% effective, possibly because they weren't prepared, possibly because they had to wake somebody up and they had to come and fly the drone, or whatever. It's dark outside, whatever reason you want to, that we don't know, that you can't prove, that you want to assign to it. The question he's asking is, why was Juliette allowed to go to Silo 17? And it might just be because they didn't know what was going on in Silo 17, or they were completely unprepared because no one had ever walked over the hill before. Those are things that come to mind for me.
Yeah, I think it's because it was like a cleaning ceremony and there was a whole audience behind it, and they obviously care a lot about optics and everything behind that.
That's a very good point, Chris.
They just shoot her out on screen and everyone watches.
And even if she was behind the hill, I don't know, maybe you would see the drones flying in. I don't know what direction they're flying in from or how close they would need to get. So I just think logistically, maybe it was not possible with an audience.
Or she would get hit and she would run back over the hill and bleed out in plain sight in front of everyone.
Or they just had no idea that her suit was okay. So they were like, wow, this girl is really making it farther than everyone else. She must have really good lungs or be holding her breath or something. But eventually she'll go out. And she almost did die from her suit once she got into Silo 17. So they probably weren't counting on her being such a good engineer and so willing to just, knock herself in the faceplate with something to get herself out of there.
So do you guys think that there are people in Silo 1?
Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
What I'm leaning towards now. Yeah.
So they have betting pools then whenever they have cleaning days, right? People are like, I think she's going to make it 5 seconds. I think she's going to make it 32 seconds. And whoever picks the right time wins the pot or whatever.
That sounds like Squid Games or something to me. I don't like that.
If it's a room full of people and they've been watching people get sent out to clean across 50 silos for a while, then they're probably pretty cynical at that point.
That's true.
They're just like a spin-off workplace comedy of Silo 1.
We got one other super chat here. Michael Sanger 8327. Thank you for the 10. I am done calling it algorithm. It said fear. Person's fear. Algos make prediction and infer stuff based on probability. hence it's a person. I think that's pretty sound reasoning. I will just say, though, that one of the things that artificial intelligence, or the LLMs that we deal with now, are good at is pretending to be things that they're not. So, like they're pretty good at mimicking things. So I wouldn't say that you could completely, say that would be impossible, that it would be able to pretend to be human. But
yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like we said, I do think it's probably a person or probably a group of people now, but I feel like my main evidence was what we kind of talked about last week, where the algorithm. So see, it's just easier to call it the algorithm, guys, just because that's what we've been trained to do. It's almost like a superhero name, even if it's not accurate as to what it is. It's just rolls off the tongue easier at this point.
I feel like even if it's not a algorithm, it still has like an algorithm powering its decisions. So like it is able to do all the data computations and everything like an algorithm, even if it is like a human reading off those computations. So there's an algorithm somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like the introduction of Per Stenson, which we'll get to later, I don't want to derail to that yet, but with the introduction of him, I think we can say for sure there's some kinds of artificial intelligence involved in the planning for the silos, at least. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump ahead to that yet because I do. Again, I really liked the human bit of this here, like with Lucas seeing the stars finally and for real, and realizing how much bigger everything was than they like I really like that idea of you've wanted to go outside, you wondered what it was like for so long, and then just being blown away by the beauty of it. But then also the flip side of that, because they have this odd couple thing going on between Kennedy and Lucas that I think works really well. He's just devastated because the particular thing that he thought was going to happen didn't happen, and now it's just the bleakest, worst possible outcome for him. So you have all of humanity rolled up in those two characters at that time.
Yeah, I feel like if you were not prepared, there was something visceral and scary about the wind and the night and the lights and not being able to see anything. And then there's a body there and then these giant stars there and you don't really know what they are. There was something so existentially terrifying about that was probably compounded by the fact that Patrick Kennedy was so sure it would be okay outside. Like, I just can't imagine the devastation that poor guy was feeling in that moment.
Yeah, it really did feel like something you'd see on an inspirational poster, right? Of someone going outside and they're like, there's nothing. And then the other one is like, but there's stars, like, look at the sky. So that's really what I saw there. But yeah, poor guy. But it is nice for Lucas though, right? I mean, it really is just the total opposite effect of like, oh, like, look at the wonder someone can feel even when things look so bleak.
Yeah, because I think, that is the core, that's the thing that I always attach to in stories, right? It's that, yeah, people, we're terrible. We know it. We do lots of terrible things to each other. We do terrible things to the planet, if there were other, other animals, other, species, if there were aliens, we do terrible things to them too, ultimately. So it's a sort of like, yeah, we have our flaws, we're not perfect, but at the same time, there is also this immeasurable amount of wonder and beauty and that coexists at the same time, so while they're talking about like, should we kill 1,000? Should we kill 2,000? If we don't, everyone's going to lose their memories. If we press, then we're all going to die. Like when they're going through all this stuff, there's still that bit of wonder that connects us. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And a story like this needs that. And that's general. I mean, dystopian stories are pretty popular, have been for like the last few decades now, because of, some of the things we'll talk about a little bit later when we get to the before times. So yeah, anything else on the trip outside that you guys wanted to touch on before we go back inside Silo 18?
I think we've covered most things. I mean, I think it's either they're injured and maybe made it over there, but one of them is more indisposed than the other, or they were somehow captured and taken somewhere, or they just played dead. A lot of possibilities.
One thing I was curious about, and this isn't just me nitpicking, because I know we can talk about the security not being there, whatever. We don't just want to complain about stuff. But I did point out in my video that suddenly the plan is very out in the open. Like Lucas comes to Juliette and Juliette's like, hey, I'm not sending you to get the kids. And Lucas is like, yeah, you want us to figure out what's going on with the pipe. And I was actually shocked at how openly they were speaking. And then all the outsiders are there and everyone's just chit-chatting about the plan, where I feel like Juliette, of all people, knows that not all the cameras are down, not all the microphones are down. She saw Camille's little lanyard thing, fob key light up in the last episode. So a commenter pointed out, like, could this be another like misdirection and another plans within plans? Because it almost seemed on the surface too, why are they talking about that? I was curious to hear your guys' thoughts, or if that's just kind of one of those, little silo inconsistencies that we don't pay too much attention to.
Yeah, part of me felt like it was just, I don't want to say bad TV writing, but the kind of thing where they're just summarizing what happened for the audience. Like if you didn't remember what happened last week, which, there's probably less obvious ways to do that. I guess that's just where my head went. Like, they're just being a little obvious about it. Or I don't know, like we said, I just think there's sometimes some, I don't want to say issues with the show, but like you've pointed out, Gab, like there's definitely like not enough security anywhere, that you kind of just have to suspend disbelief a little bit. So that's kind of how I was taking all that. Not sure what you think, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I land on it too. I don't think that they're, sloppy isn't the right word, because sloppy is, it kind of says that they don't care. I think they do care. I think that it's a matter of efficiency, like you said, to make sure people understand what's happening in the story. I think that every TV show, every showrunner, every, group of people who set out to make a television show, they have to make certain concessions. And, I think that with this, a lot of the stuff is like, they're like, this story is really good that we're trying to tell, and we're going to have to take some liberties. And if we do it at a high enough level, then people will give us a pass. I feel like, there's some self-awareness there. It's not just like, who cares? Security, nobody thought about security. Like I would imagine that they're probably like, yeah, the security thing's a bit of a stretch, but I think they'll buy it,
Yeah. You're on mute, Gab.
Sorry, they're all the security's out guarding the water filtration station.
They are.
Like they've all been redirected to go
thing.
guard that. Yeah. Resources are thin.
There is something
there's
to
also.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to bring it slightly to a different point, which was just about, we talked about how when Juliette went over the hill and why they let her go out. Obviously, I did talk about the audience aspect, but we also said that they might not have had the time to prepare, like if they didn't expect her to have a good suit to get over the hill. But in this case with Lucas and Patrick Kennedy, they were ready pretty fast, even though they deliberately did not go at the designated time at dawn. So that's kind of an interesting thing to me. Like they couldn't get their resources together for Juliette, but they could for Lucas and Patrick. But maybe it all just was the audience and the fact that it was daylight and they weren't going to risk it no matter what.
You know, those suit techs were pissed whenever they got a call in the middle of the night that they had to come down and get people ready to go outside. Like, they definitely don't have a night shift in the suit department.
Not at all.
Right? Like, that's something you have to get a call for and get out of bed. But yeah, I think that I think overall the thing with the security and everything else, one thing we do have to keep in mind is that there was just a rebellion. Camille has only been in charge of the silo for a short amount of time. And that's after everything fell apart. I guess we can think about the construction project to repair the stairs sort of as the reminder of that maybe 6 months ago, if all this stuff was happening and Bernard was still the head of IT and everything was the way it was supposed to be, none of this would be possible. But it could be that, at least from what we see, we know that Camille and the algorithm are reacting to everything that's happening in real time. They're not really in control. They're trying to reassert control rather than being in that position of strength that they used to be in. I don't think 6 months ago, if Paul Billings walked into the room with the cameras and started waving around his pistol, that would go unanswered. But it kind of makes sense that it did right now, because Camille has other stuff that's like pressing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good
definitely.
point. Yeah.
And I love, like, I really, I don't know what it is. I guess it's sometimes when a show does something that's not real, like Silo's been a little bit funnier this season. And so I've really enjoyed the funny moments. I also really have been enjoying these moments where, you know, I was thinking I mentioned Billings flashing his gun. This conversation with Juliette and Camille, where they both have guns behind their backs, like, that was so good to me. Like, I was really like pumped up in a way that Silo just doesn't usually. Like, they do all these crazy things, you know, like the bomb thing, the gassing the mines. Like, they have these little action sequences. I've never really thought they were the most effective thing. But man, give Camille a pistol to put in her belt and then have Juliette have one behind the door on the other side. That's some good stuff. Like, I was really feeling that.
Yeah, they have the best scenes together, in my opinion, on this show so far. Like, there's really something electric when they share the screen. And literally in my notes, I was like, Rebecca is acting, all capitalized. Because she had, you know, just such a great reaction of kind of half crying, you know, or tearing up because of the news that Camille gave her that she's lost Lucas and Patrick. But then she's also still like hiding her cards about the true reason she's there. And she's still giving off an air of confidence to like be intimidating and stand her ground. And she's just so good at that, kind of balancing all those emotions at the same time.
I like how it's been ramping up too. Like, the personality is coming back incrementally. And because we know it, because we already spent 2 seasons with her when she was normal, it's so much fun to see it come back. And like you said, you almost forgot that it was gone, because we were in that long enough that we were sort of disconnected from how she really was. But yeah, I thought that was just a fantastic scene and something to look forward, you know, really to look forward to in the future.
Yeah. I think the guns too, and kind of the way they're in a very similar stance, like on each side of the door, I feel like that also shows that they're kind of like foils to each other, which I maybe even saw more so in this episode because of Juliette being put into her own trolley problem the same way that Camille was, right? Like, Camille's decision to gas the mines was also with good intentions, right? Like, it was also to prevent everybody, to prevent the broader silo from the safeguard. And that's always been her goal. And Juliette almost did the same thing. She was just saved by the bell.
Saved by the Radio. Yeah, I like watching the characters get into positions that they haven't been in, because even though Juliette is our hero and protagonist, like, she's not John Wick by any means. So she's had to do things in situations, and most of that has to do with engineering or kind of just elbowing her way through. And now she's there with her hand on her gun, ready to fire if need be. Like, I think that's almost a first for her.
Yeah, because it was really funny the way they set that up too, because she was like, I don't know where I'm going to go, and you were like, well, why would you, she was in a hurry to get out of there. They made a point of her saying, is the combination the same? And I was kind of like, where was she going? And she was going to get her gun and get ready to defend herself with violence if necessary, But yeah, she's more of a MacGyver than a John Wick, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And her best line was, we should have given them more time to make the suits bulletproof. I was like, oh,
that was a good one.
It's a good line.
And there were so many layers, that was the thing. They're like, Camille is like, I don't know, suit malfunction, and there was just so much like, yeah, we shot them. We'll shoot you too in that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And she's not even sure. She's just kind of fronting too, because she assumes that something like that happened. But, whenever she says bulletproof, when Juliette says bulletproof, that's kind of like Camille getting confirmation of what the algorithm did at the same time. So yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff going on in that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think about how Rob kind of took a back seat. That was kind of made explicit early whenever he has to tell Juliette that he can't, they're following him, so he has to take a step back. He does do this thing where he passes he gives the passes through Anthony's jacket. He gets caught for that, and that's how they end up in a face-off later. He's doing the things he has to do, and I guess we'll just talk about what they say at the end now. We'll just go straight to that while we're on the Sims.
Yeah.
What I found interesting about him is that before the success of his character, the thing that made him what he is that he had no conscience, basically. Like, he followed orders. He was a yes man. He was willing to do the things that had to be done in order to get this place that he had. Like, he had his like he was following in his father's footsteps in the, behind the door in janitorial or whatever. But he was, that was his thing, was that he was going to do the stuff that nobody else would do because the silo needed that. That's all gone. Similar to what happened to Bernard. But now we see him getting a conscience, right? Like, he's saying, I just don't want, like, yeah, this is all crazy, and I just don't want you to put the stuff in the water. Like, that's it. Like, that's my whole motivation in life right now, is that I love our son. This silo is not perfect, but I just don't think it's a good idea for everyone to lose their memories, for our son to forget his childhood with us,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. A character like Robert, who's done and been through so much, has such a simple motivation, and I kind of like that. Like, I think right now he's moving to whatever side he thinks is going to prevent that one thing from happening, and that is ultimately what helped calm Camille down at the end. Like, he didn't want both of Anthony's parents to be killers, but I also think he is telling the truth about it's about the water. I don't want you putting in the water. And Camille's big thing is, my husband has been lying to me this whole time. But in that moment, he really was telling the truth. That is the truth. That is what he wants. And that is what's going to make him continue to fight. So I love the dynamic because you think you've been with your partner for all these years and you know them so well. And she was able to see the jacket situation for what it was, kind of using her observation power. So it's like, you know, your spouse is deceiving you. You know them well enough to know that, but you don't know why or you don't know how. And I find that to be so interesting between the two of them. I think there's one shot where Camille leaves and Robert sees a portrait of them by the door when they're just happy. And it's like, these two aren't strangers. They didn't just meet each other. It's not that they don't know each other that well. They know each other better than anybody else can. And I find it fascinating for something so huge to be going on between them.
It's a surprise. Like I was not expecting, whenever I thought about Silo season 3, I wasn't like, man, I can't wait for more Rob and Camille scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how like they're having this marital argument in front of Annie, the nurse, just chained up.
Nurse is like the VIP of this episode in a lot of ways. Like when she's like, Amy, you want, and she puts the gun to her head. I was like, now this is seriously different. Like I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, especially when he's like, let's not do this in front of her. And she's like, fuck Amy. I was like, wow, okay. She means
you want me to kill her? I can kill her.
But yeah, I did like, I think like we said, the humanity is like very important for these types of sci-fi shows. And so I think just having a very simple dispute about their son and his jacket is like a great way to do that. Like, I mean, I've childhood memories of complaining about like an ugly coat or whatever, right? Like I think that's the thing that a lot of like families have dealt with, and just seeing how these really real problems they have with each other is seeping into their family life, and then that heightens the tension because they're so family first, like everything for them is about their unit, and they're just kind of going about it in different ways, right? Like I think for Camille, it's like our lives are what matter most, more than our sense of identity or individuality. Like it's worth getting rid of that if it means our son can leave the silo. But for Robert, you know, he views the sense of self as the utmost importance. Like if we lose who we are, then our physical lives almost don't matter the same way because we're not who we are anymore. And so they kind of have the same ultimate goals, but they have this difference in philosophy that I'm not sure can be reconciled. Like one of them is going to have to shift their positioning on that a little bit as to how much, you know, your sense of identity matters to your physical life, I suppose.
So yeah, the gun waving, the idea that, you know, he just, like I said, he just doesn't want the water. He doesn't want the vitamin D in the water. He doesn't want their son to have two parents that are killers. It's all working really well. I think that, you know, we kind of touched on how the algorithm was being deceptive. I feel like there's definitely some hints there that Camille is going to get soured on what she's doing. But I feel like at the same time, she's still pretty locked into where she's at. Like the alternative is that they all die in the safeguard. And she seems to be the kind of character who is smart enough and resourceful enough that if she were to jump sides, like she would have to know for sure that they could stop the safeguard. Like it would have to be, she wouldn't gamble. She's her gamble is like, yeah, that sucks that everyone loses their memories, but my son will survive. And that she's not going to, she won't change sides until she knows that being on Rob's side makes that a better chance that Anthony will live. Memories or not, it's not really that important to her. Survival, it's about survival for her, right?
Especially now when the algorithm, lying or not, has told her, well, the safeguard has a safeguard. So if I feel like the subtext there was if you were thinking about joining Juliette or enabling or abetting her plan to stop the safeguard, well, there's no use. That is futile. So even if Camille was starting to be like, oh, maybe my husband and Juliette, all these people, they have the right idea. Maybe I could deceive the algorithm. I feel like that's less likely after what the algorithm just told her.
Yeah, the algorithm
Yeah.
wasn't exactly subtle. It was the threat was right there for her.
Yeah, I agree with that because up until this episode, this whole time, I was like, oh, I wonder if they came clean and they said that they knew how to cap the poison pipe. Like maybe she'd come to their side because all she wants is to stop the safeguard too. But that whole idea kind of went out the window this week because how are you going to stop these drone strikes, honestly?
Yeah. I was going to, I mean, we have to talk about Billings and Harwood. I guess let's talk about them now. I feel like that's something that we don't need to put a lot of time into. I do want to get to Juliette and what's going on with her and Bernard and stuff. I feel like that's where we're headed, but Billings is kind of in the side plot that will certainly be impactful at some point, but right now it's not 100% certain. I'm not 100% certain on how that will be. He does go to see Ed Harwood, who seems like he's like a mob boss kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
He's got some power. He knows how to wield it. It's sort of the same thing as what the algorithm did to Camille, right? He lets Billings know about that. We don't really know what it is, though. Do you guys feel like you understand what's going on in the minds any more than you did before this episode after listening to Ed talk?
Kind of the same theories. Like I think the few that we've floated on this stream before is that, maybe they're digging to another silo, but again, we've talked about how it seems like too many light bulbs for that sole purpose. But we have also talked about like bargaining of some sort, and that might actually feed into what we learned because he had a very understandable chip on his shoulder, right? Like people are getting deadly sentences for petty crimes. And so all those people down there definitely have a reason to want to rebel in some way. So I don't know if they're just staging some version of their own rebellion down there. And so whether they're using the light bulbs to like dig somewhere out of the silo because they're trying to leave completely, or they just want to use them as a bargaining chip, I could see either one. But I guess this episode mostly gave us a reason behind whatever they're doing, right? They definitely have some valid reasons.
A couple new things came to mind this episode with the mines. There's a lot of alluding to magic, both directly and indirectly. Magic is talked about on the jet between Charlotte and Anna. In a way, the way Glenda appeared and reappeared and disappeared is like magic. And then Ed Harwood said that they basically sent this magician who just wanted to like make an egg disappear down to the mines.
For kids.
And I don't, yeah, just to have fun. And I was really trying to think like, what is this all about? So the only thing I could think about, because he had given that speech in the episode before of like, you've done something. It's not that you did something, it's that you were stupid enough to get caught doing something. And he's done all these things that even Holston looked into him for and he never got caught for. So maybe he's the magician, or maybe there is this idea that they're making the mistake by sending intellectual people down to the mines. Like this isn't just the rough and tough criminals. You got magicians, you got really smart computer geniuses like Lucas, you got X, Y, and Z. So to me, that signal that they have enough diversity of thought and background down there to start a revolution or figure their own thing out or start their own society. So that's what I was thinking about this episode.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I don't know. I came out of that with Ed as bottom line. This guy, he makes some good points about about what's going on down there. And it is, as you say, a very unjust system. Like whoever's in charge can, and we know that like how Bernard ran that part of it, you know, like they can just send whoever they want down there to toil in the mines until they die. It's like the gulag, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, it's terrible. But the thing I think we're supposed to pick up about Harwood is that he keeps talking about how, you know, he's not stupid. He keeps making all these, you know, allusions to other people getting in trouble for being too stupid to get away with it and things like that. The main thing about him is that he believes that he is not too stupid to get away with whatever he's doing. I just have no idea what he's doing. Like, what is Knox's father doing for him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched that so many times. I'm like, I have no idea. I had to keep fast, like going back and back and back. Well, I don't know. He made something for him. So hope we get to find out what that is soon.
He made something for him that was good enough that he faked his death. But those two things don't, I don't know. Like I try to put all the pieces together and they don't add up to anything for me yet.
Yeah, this is a very slow drip storyline where we're getting more information, but ultimately my theories haven't changed in 3 episodes because there's nothing new to like disprove any of them, but also nothing new to really point me in the direction of one of them. It's all just kind of, you know, us just making really big predictions because there's really not that much to go off of.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I said I think that we probably could ponder this situation more, but I don't know. I feel like let's wait till next week to see what we learn, because Knox's dad's alive apparently. I'm guessing that means we'll meet him and we'll find out, you know.
I know.
So
the show doesn't really do stunt casting, but it would be fun if we got some, like, I don't know, some big actor that none of us are expecting.
David Duchovny.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
That might be a little bit too far.
I was like, how old is he now? I was like, how old is this?
I don't think that he would be old enough. Oh, Kyle MacLachlan, he would be old enough to be Knox's dad, I think.
That could work.
That would be insane. Like that would just become a different show. Like I would be like, we need to talk about Knox's dad. Right now, I feel like I don't want to talk about his dad.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much else, like you said. He designed something, and
it all has to be connected,
was good.
I guess. I guess that's the thing, right? It all has to be connected. Yeah. However, I guess we could probably even, like, the thing that he asked about is how a body could get into the mines. So maybe whatever, without anybody knowing or the cameras finding out. So maybe he designed something that made it possible for them to transport a body that doesn't look like a body on the stairs or something like that.
Or even like like a device that freezes the camera or something, or just codes over the last 30 seconds so you can sneak by it. I don't know. If there's really smart people down there, anything is possible.
Or like weapons of some sort that they're going to use down the line. I don't know.
Michael Sanger thinks that they have the answer to the light bulb question. Episode 2, exactly 42 minutes, the escape. Each hole in the concrete has a lamp on it. If that's not telegraphing, I don't know what is. Do you guys know what he's referring to?
I don't know. Maybe I can like pull my episode up and try to find it.
I had episode 2 open right before this for something unrelated, but I do not have it open anymore.
Let's see. Let's go to 42. Is this the right?
I've heard people say that they saw a lot of lights in the digger void. Is that what they're talking about?
I don't know. Maybe our timestamps are different because, like, I'm at the part where like Juliette is talking with like she's talking to like the fangirls when they were accosting her downstairs, but like, so I'm not sure. But
all right, well, we're gonna have
we
to
can do some
abandon
investigating
this.
later.
Yeah, we'll have to maybe revisit it at a different time. Sorry, Michael, but I don't exactly, without seeing it visually, I don't really get what the implication is. Oh, one other thing. I saw this one earlier, and I wasn't exactly sure what to make of that one either.
Vapors from pipes.
Everybody getting high?
I'm not, just like the steam that we see like hanging around in the silo, or because I feel like it's it can be a steamy place sometimes depending on what's going on, but I haven't thought about it past that.
I thought that was maybe just semi-normal. Like, I didn't know if that was something
I was just
odd,
I was just thinking about it because when you said that, the steam, it just realized that living inside the silo would be like living inside like a subway station.
Yeah, honestly.
For your entire life. There would be pipes and steam coming out of things every once in a while that you vaguely know were going somewhere, but you'd always be inside. I always thought, that would be terrible to live in a silo, but just that for some reason that visual just put it together that it would be pretty similar to being inside a train station.
Yeah, I'm like, what's the heating and cooling situation like? Like, hopefully it's adequate.
It's probably not great,
Everyone's always wearing most people are wearing long sleeves. We did see Robert in like a wife beater, like tank top for a brief second in this episode. I don't think we've ever seen him without his leather jacket.
We're gonna transition to Juliette. Have silo 18ers gotten smarter than ones in 300 years? I think, not hours. It's a good question. We don't really know anything about silo oneers, so
I guess maybe they're just
I
asking
know a few things about them that I can't mention, but
I know. I was gonna say, I guess maybe the question is like if Camille or Juliette could outsmart whoever's on the other end, and maybe that's possible, but I think they just need something to have the upper hand. Like, it's really hard if the other side has cameras and microphones everywhere and can listen to all of your conversations, right? And you have no information on them. It's hard to totally outmaneuver them, but I have faith. Maybe they can think of something together.
All right, so Juliette, you mentioned it a couple times. She's given her own trolley problem. She is I thought it was kind of cool. Bernard is a lot of fun to have around on the other side now. He sort of says, "Oh, well, it's your responsibility because the people chose you as the mayor. So let me tell you about all this terrible stuff so that you can be the one to have to do the job that I had to do for so long." That was the feeling I had.
I know, it was like she was elected mayor as a figurehead, and then now she has thousands of lives on her hands and does not want to make I felt for her.
We are not voting on this, people.
Yeah, she's like, can we just workshop this? Can we vote? He's like, nope, it's just your decision.
You have to toil over this just like I did for decades, alone in my apartment with no one to talk to. And then the only woman I really cared about, I had to kill her. That was part of my job.
Yeah.
I thought of Tim Robbins is great in this season. I love how he is just, it's like he's meeting, it's like the Avengers of people he's screwed over, just one
Yeah.
by one, like
Uh-huh.
Gloria, Walker, Juliette, and just every single person he has screwed over. And the poor guy spoke more in this episode than any other episode, but now can't drink water. I had that thought, like, this man's throat is burned and charred and scratched,
Yeah.
and he has to pitch why that we need to kill 1,000 people and can't even have a nice cooling glass of water, can only drink like wine or juice, which would suck in a burned, scarred throat. So
Yeah.
he's going through it.
That's like high acidic content.
They should just give him like a keg of beer where he just sits there and gets wasted for the rest of the season and just says everything that's on his mind.
Oh my God. His Meadows era, like he'll be Meadows now.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, but I love that Juliette basically doesn't have to do any sort of boring mayoral duties, just only has to decide whether to kill 1,000 people. Otherwise, otherwise, I don't know who's taking care of the day-to-day. Beats me.
Oh, okay. I see. They were saying perhaps the you could use the aerosol vitamin D or something along those lines. That was the connection to that.
That's
but I
concerning.
do. Yeah, but I do also think that the safeguard is a real thing. I'm not sure. I guess that's one other thing about the outside. One of the things that we did touch on, the fact that they have a fail safe if the safeguard doesn't work, but I don't think there was anything in this episode that made us understand what that is. Did we?
For me, no.
What their second
How
safeguard
they
is, you mean?
Yeah, like how all those people ended up dead.
Oh, I thought it was that they sent the drones out like they did with Patrick and Lucas. Or that's what I thought. Yeah.
That's obviously something you could do, to connect the dots. It's just that there's a lot of people. Like, she made the point of saying it's a whole silo's worth of people. So that's a lot of it's a lot of drones.
I always just thought it was the air. Like, they ran out with no suits on.
Yeah, but they made a point. Solo made a point in season 2 to say that they were out there for a while, and we actually saw them being out there, just sort of talking and hanging out, and then they all died. But we don't really know what the first implication is that it eventually killed them. It just didn't happen like it did when people clean, I guess, is the part that stands out.
Because I'm remembering a visual in season 2 where, like, there's still people, bodies dead, on their way out, like climbing out on the stairs, which originally told me gas. Because if there's drones, I mean, unless they can, I guess, like swarm in and, take out every individual person. I don't know. I'm very eager to learn what happens.
Yeah, I mean, can they gas outside? Like, you have one pipe that's going in and then one pipe going out to like catch the people that have managed to escape. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we're getting to the same territory where we don't have a lot of information to work off of. That's the point. That something happened to those people. We don't know what it was. And I wonder if this is something that I kind of feel like that the way that they mentioned it so many times and have drawn attention to it, that this is something that they will explain probably before the end of this season.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain things I think you need to deliver on within the season, and I think that's probably one of them.
Well, because when the algorithm told Camille, like, you saw the unedited version of Juliette's cleaning video, like, what you saw.
Was he telling us that, right?
Yeah. So, but then people are still dying from poison gas. So I don't know. I'm excited to find out, though.
Do you think we're going to see inside Silo 1 before the end of this season?
Maybe in a flashback. Like, they have so much to tell us from the before times. They've been moving so slow. So whether it's like we figure out exactly where that leads, or they actually go in and tour Silo 1, I don't know. A jury's still out if we'll get a glimpse of Silo 1 as it is in the present day, but hopefully soon.
Yeah. I could see the most we get in present day being like the literal cliffhanger for the season. I don't know. I think just the pacing, I'm kind of not seeing like extended time there, but that would be very exciting for the show if they did.
I was just looking at some of these different things here. The memory wiping makes no sense. Will Simpson believe they're not his parents? Do people remember their jobs? It feels like more chaos than benefits, which is a great thank you, Oba one. $5 for the transition to the thing that we wanted to talk about, or at least I did. I was trying to get to, which was Juliette and Bernard and everything that's going on that side of the story. The point here is that they don't really know, but the mission diary kind of explains how that works. And I guess it doesn't matter that we've talked about this extensively. It's a developing situation, but as far as people remembering their jobs, yes, they do. It's their personal memories that they lose. They don't lose their motor functions and the things that are, they like muscle memory and things like that. So
yeah, I think if you watch Severance, I kind of just think of it like that. Like they can do a job, but the essence of who they, or actually no, the essence of who they are is there. It's just like personal memories are not
experiences. There. Yeah, they're experiences that they have emotional connections to. It's sort of like what Charlotte was saying on the plane. She says, I know what happened. It's just like it happened to I know the details. It's just like it happened to someone else.
Mm.
And we see that her memory has been wiped and she's functioning just fine. Like she's able to come on to Anna and ask for a foot rub and all that kind of stuff. Like that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, was that going on like pre-memory wipe, or is this like a new relationship? I guess we'll find out more because we don't know that much about Charlotte, but I was like, this is interesting.
No, I think it's new because I think they actually made that explicit because unless there was a little bit more, but she says, I'm going to go see her. She said, I would like to go see her. She sort of Anna asked Daniel's permission to go visit Anna in the hospital. And she was like, she described it as like, I never served. I just think it would be a good thing. So I think she went to eavesdrop, to kind of pay attention to how this plan was going. And then she fell for her in the process. That's the part. I don't think they have a history. So I think this is developing in real time. I feel like Anna is, she's got a crush on her or something.
Yeah, for sure. There was like heavy vibes there.
Talking about a foot rub.
I was
very forward.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys because that's not something I've ever asked anyone for, was a foot rub. But a foot rub on the hierarchy of like intimacy, it's pretty high, right?
It's pretty. I feel like there are people who are in relationships and don't give each other foot rubs because some people aren't into feet. But yeah, I think it just shows a lot about like Charlotte's personality coming through. I get the sense that she is very unfiltered. She says what's on her mind. She goes for it. So it's nice to see her coming back into herself.
Yeah. I know. I was all over the place with Charlotte because I first saw her and she was acting a lot more like herself, like how we saw it in the first episode. And I was like, okay, we're almost completely back. But then they brought in the detail that she still only remembers like the last 2 weeks and they still need Daniel to fill in all of the childhood memories. So Yeah, that's fascinating to me. I was like, are we gonna get like a move on that? Because it seems like the longer we wait,
Yeah, I don't think so.
might not be
I think,
great.
yeah, I think that's something that will totally be left up to our imagination. Like they'll say something about it, obviously, like my memories are back. It's awesome or whatever. But I don't think we'll ever get the details about whether, how that worked or,
Yeah.
know.
I've been concerned for her over these weeks. So I was glad to get an update.
Yeah, and we're getting off the path that I wanted to be on, but at the same time, it's tragic, right? It's a tragic situation. Like the part that's crazy to me with the doctor telling the story about the thing he doesn't want to remember about his daughter dying in his arms. Like I understand that. I don't understand how that's even remotely related to what Charlotte's going through. She was a serviceman, and she signed up to go fight in wars, and she was fighting in a mission. Like it's totally different, right?
Yeah. The only thing I related it to is because he does extensive work with vets and soldiers is PTSD and the effect it can have on you, and knowing that Daniel and Helen listened to how horrible the screams were. But yeah, in that moment I'm like, all right, let's move along. Like I'm glad they gave us his backstory, but you're still taking people's memories away, and
Yeah,
Daniel
that's the
needs to be more
thing.
upset.
He had a choice. Like she didn't really even have a choice in this. Like she was taken from the thing with a head injury. They wiped her memories and was like, you're welcome. We're doing this great thing for you. You should be really happy.
Yeah.
It just makes like it seems like she had to sign the NDA to figure out what happened to her. So all the bullshit about, oh, we care about your pain just goes away because we took something away that you're not allowed to know the full story about until we got you on our side. So then let's just drop the act that you actually care what I'm going through.
Yeah. Daniel even says it to her. She's smiling. She's like, yeah, he's really helping me put my memories back. And he's also the guy who took your memories. Like maybe he's not a bad guy, but somebody is bad in this situation,
Yeah.
Like,
And
this is nefarious.
Yeah, it puts it into a really weird dynamic where she's so grateful to her doctor, like, thank you for giving me my memories back. It's like a Stockholm syndrome thing in a way, because he's the reason she's without memories.
Yeah, so like her personality's back, but they basically can shape her however they want. And that's why I do find the relationship with like Anna to be interesting, right? Because it's kind of a way to get her closer with like the Thurman family, and then they can have more control over her. And I guess we'll get more details on this next week, but I don't believe that they've told her everything with like the black goo, because I still think that has to be the thing that they wanted to get rid of, right? Like, I just don't believe that they truly did everything out of the kindness of their hearts to protect her from the PTSD of this mission. So there has to be something that she saw and she went through that they are keeping from her, because otherwise there was no point to this, because they are bringing her into this mission afterwards. Otherwise they are being sincere, and this really was to save her of the pain of the PTSD, which I don't buy that at all. Pete, something's up with your mic.
Yeah, went out.
Yeah, you're like the small voice from afar. I don't know. What do you think about that, Gab?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think they can put it under the fact that they were so concerned about her. I feel like they're testing it on people, maybe because they need to wipe the memory of anyone who goes in the silo eventually. So it does feel like, okay, well, I guess veterans and people who have lived through this horrible trauma is a good population to test it on. Like Helen previously said, some of them can't afford the right care, or don't implied that it was unethical because they don't have as much control. So I guess it is a way to be like, oh, we're doing something good, but then we're also testing something that we need for something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you back, Pete?
Nope.
No. Damn. Okay. I don't know what happened there.
While
Yeah,
Pete is fixing
okay.
that, did you, Chris, have a problem with the fact that they made it seem like they were on that plane for like 10 hours and then they were flying from somewhere around the DC area to Atlanta? Because that actually pissed me off. Like, I love this show,
Yeah.
but that pissed me off.
I know we had the plane ride, like, and a helicopter ride too.
People are like, Charlotte's like, I need to take a nap. Like, Charlotte had time to have a heart-to-heart with her brother, take a nap, flirt with Anna, and I looked up the flight time. It's an hour and 15 minutes to Atlanta, like from DC to Atlanta.
Yeah,
and I
this
heard
seemed like they were
private
doing
jets
like a
can fly faster. Yeah, so I'm like, I thought they were flying from like Antarctica to DC or something with how long it made it seem like they were on that flight.
Yeah, it did seem like a red-eye overnight situation.
Exactly.
I mean, it kind of is, right? Because it's like the next morning, like the dawn is arising when they get on the helicopter.
Yeah, and then they took up I don't know how long they were in that car ride and how far outside of DC it took them, but then they got on a plane ride and then they got on a helicopter. And there's some people in my comments and we're joking, like, if they get on a single other mode of transportation in the next episode, like, we're gonna riot.
Oh, wait, no, that was my comment section too. It was really making me laugh. They're like, they're gonna be on a train next week. We have to find a new mode of transportation. Yeah, train, boat, what's next?
Jet ski, I don't know. Like, if you have a billionaire private jet at your disposal, you'd think you could just fly exactly where you need to go and like land there, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think like I think we've talked about this in like past weeks. I just think it's this tough balancing act where I think very obviously there are things they are going to want to align in Silo 18 and the past in these last few episodes, like in 9 and 10, since those are always the most like big explosive episodes. And so it just seems like in order to make those things align, they have to make the past storyline kind of chug at this like slower pace. And I think it'll like all make sense when we see the ending. But until we get there, it's like, okay, we're getting somewhere, and then they keep edging us every week. It's like we're almost
someone said golf cart next episode confirmed. Honestly, I could see them in a golf cart. Like, actually, I could see them in a golf cart driving around the site of the drills.
Absolutely, right? And the next week's like a slow elevator down the side.
Yeah, slow. But you're right. Like, so much of the before times is needing to have conversations. Like, I know there was just one conversation after another, but I don't really know what else they're supposed to do other than talk and get to know each other. Pete's back.
Pete. No. What is going on? Is your mic like out of battery? Maybe. I don't know. Or check your like settings to make sure it's out of the right thing.
I hate when I think the Silo one is hacking.
It should be good now, right?
Oh, there we go.
Yay.
Yeah.
Pete is back, guys.
The problem was it kept resetting. Like my mic, the box stopped, so I had to restart it. And the streaming software was muting it. So whenever I was trying to check it, it kept like overriding what was going on. Okay. And then I fixed it, and then I came back, and then it changed the input. So that was it. Okay. Sorry for the long thing, but it was the two different things like fighting with each other, basically.
People in the chat were worrying you'd been neutralized, so I'm glad
I took you out.
It would have been crazy if I popped back up and Camille had a gun to my head, huh?
If she's behind you, you blink twice.
I think it also looks like in the chat we have the Hugh Howey in there.
Oh, really?
In the comments. Yeah. So shout out to Hugh for writing these amazing books that got turned into this amazing show. If that is you, I think it is you. I think it is the real Hugh.
If he has a channel, so it's from his official channel if he's in there. Oh yeah, that's him.
Oh my
Good
gosh.
to see you.
Hi, Hugh. Oh. There 17 books to
Ooh. After this season. Okay, that gets me excited. And I haven't even read the books yet. I'm going to read them after.
I know. Do we need to like read the books really fast before before Hugh comes on before season
Asking
4?
the author if you need to read the books, like I feel like the answer will be yes.
Well, I was waiting till after season 4. I have every intention of reading them, Hugh.
He says, enjoying the chat from my golf cart. Pete, I don't know if you heard it, but we were talking about all the modes of transportation that they've taken in the before times.
They need a train next time.
Yeah, or a golf cart.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, so I just Hugh's been on the channel. We've had a discussion on the channel before. You can find it. It came out after season 1, but just while he's here, just to tell him again, the open invitation. If you want to come on one of these with us, just reach out and I will be glad to accommodate your schedule.
Literally on a boat right now, so we got
that
covered.
So that's what it was funny because Chris and I were talking because he had commented on one of my videos earlier in the season, and Chris and I were talking about it, and I checked his Instagram because I know he travels all the time, and the picture was from a boat at the time, so I was like, yeah, he's probably not going to come on the live stream from the boat, but we'll see what happens. We'll see where he's at.
Well, thanks for listening to us here.
Yeah. Calling in from Silo 1.
Yeah. But okay, so I did want to do Juliette, but let's stick on the before times now, since you guys did such a great job of keeping it going while I was being I feel like I was being neutralized. Maybe not neutralized, but compromised. None of it really adds up when I think about it. I feel like somebody has been messing with my equipment here, but the whole thing with them, and yeah, what I was touching on before I was disappeared was that none of it really makes sense. It's been developing in fast enough that Daniel's protestations and Helen's as well. Like, I thought they did a pretty good job of making that make sense here for why they would actually stop worrying about that and just go along on this plane ride. How did you guys feel about that?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
No, I think it makes sense to me in that, I just think the truth is too tantalizing to not go after. And for me, that almost parallels everything with Silo 18. Like, that's always a recurring theme that people will kind of always choose to try to find the truth rather than to live in ignorance. And so, yeah, I believed it the way it turned out here, especially because they've also shown that Helen is also very career oriented. And I think she does genuinely like the idea of like having a story to tell after all of this. So it seems both just like tantalizing on like a human level, but also there's kind of like professional opportunities for her down the line if this all goes well.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is the inevitability of it. Like, Per Stenson, he came off. Somebody had put there was someone, I saw a thing that the Elon Musk cameo was hilarious, and I wanted to ask you guys because I feel like he's almost a little more insidious. Like, Elon Musk is not that subtle, right? He's kind of he kind of likes to be in the public spotlight. I didn't get that feeling from this guy. I felt like this guy is more on the like Peter Thiel or one of those kind of characters. Like, who they are, they have tremendous wealth and influence, but they're not necessarily trying to be out there in the public eye all that much.
Yeah, Elon's also kind of like lame and not personable versus I feel like Per Stenson was like a little bit more like,
he felt a
you know,
little more
like a
confident,
cool,
right?
yeah, like a cool guy you could like get a drink with or whatever, and he's not like a total weirdo, you know.
Yeah, I
But
definitely. Yeah, I didn't get like I mean, obviously, I think all billionaires can be a little eccentric, but I didn't necessarily get that, like you said, that obviousness, that kind of annoying quirk, like I'm so quirky, Elon Musk thing.
Mhm.
But I did find there is something, I think you used the word insidious about this man, and I think because he showed us his, I guess, breadth of skills, being able to maybe even biologically engineer animals as kind of like a fun side project. I'm
Unicorns?
definitely concerned about him, but it is very interesting, which is one thing that's kind of kept me interested in the Before Times, is they oscillate, like the people, the man, the other man, the fixer guy, and the senator and Per Stenson, they oscillate between being this shadowy group that scares you, like something you'd see in Mr. Robot, with this kind of absolute shadow power. But then at the same time, it's like, hey, let's all have a good time and sign the NDAs and learn about the end of the world. And then they're doing something clearly super huge. And then he's talking about unicorns and making jokes. So I find that to be an interesting journey, which is why I think maybe Daniel and Helen were able to eventually decide to go with them, now that they're not like putting black bags over their heads and it's not that kind of vibe.
Yeah, and I think there is a self-awareness there. Like, that was his billionaires ruin everything joke, you know, like I thought that was there to show us that he has some self-awareness that probably Elon Musk is lacking, right?
Yeah.
And then
that probably makes him more scary in a way, right? Because he's very aware of how he comes off, and he's like, oh, I'm not like those billionaires. Like, I'm not just gonna create a unicorn just to shoot it like those guys, right? So that shows he has more emotional intelligence than
and I think he laid it out in a pretty heavy-handed way, that to make sure that they understood, you know, like he kind of says, you could leave right now in that shitty minivan and know nothing, or you could come and know the best thing. And the fact of the matter is that when you're a human being and you're in that situation, you know that if you don't go and learn the truth, somebody else will take your place. Like, you're either in on it or you're not. And he lays that out pretty well in a way that anyone can understand. And I also like the detail about whenever Daniel was saying, how did you get a bunch of Georgia farmers to give you their land? And he was like, that was easy. That I gave them generational wealth. And that, you know, those all seem like things, because one thing I'll say about the book that doesn't spoil the future is that there was no Per Stenson. Thurman was the head of whatever's going on here. So injecting this tech billionaire is very interesting. And I think in a way it makes it make a little bit more sense, because there was a little bit more trickery maybe in the way that you think about it before. But here he's saying, like, look, this is going to happen whether you want to be a part of it or not, you know, and I have the money and resources. And that is true of like the world we live in, right? Like those are the people who make these decisions, whether they should be or they shouldn't be. And I like that we can have a conversation about that in the way that this is playing out, because ultimately that's what it's about, right? It's about control. It's about who gets to decide. And this is the kind of guy who currently does.
Yeah, I liked the parallel there, because I think there's a direct line from Thurman being like, he's the brains, I'm just the believer. And I think that's a lot more aligned with how our government actually works, where the politicians are serving the higher ups and not the higher, and they're not the higher ups. So yeah, I found it to be a bit more believable and maybe even relatable to just how our world and government actually works.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And you're saying with just the way they've been operating and the way that they did trap Daniel and Helen in like a self-driving car. Like it makes a lot more sense that there is a billionaire tech guy behind all of this versus this just being solely like a insulated government conspiracy. Like it just makes sense that this is a lot bigger than something that's contained to like Thurman, who really wouldn't have that much power in the long scheme of things.
Yeah, I feel like I said, I think that the way that whenever I read the book, initially I thought that it all was very satisfying in the way that it was planned out and executed. I wouldn't have thought that I needed it to be updated in any way, but as I'm seeing this play out, I feel like this does kind of work a little bit better, especially because the chronology and stuff like we've already talked about, they were able to do some things with the book where they could just go back and they could present things in a different way that wouldn't necessarily work. And like I've said it multiple times, you can't really put Rebecca Ferguson on the sidelines for a whole season either, for the way that TV works and the way that you could with the book. So
yeah. I don't know if you want to bring up Hugh's comment on casting.
I was just going to say, it's funny because I was listening to you guys talking, and I was also watching people saying that so far off the books whenever the author of the book is in the chat. It's kind of funny. Let me pull this one up. I've learned a lot about casting with this adaptation. The gender swaps are often because there's an amazing actor you think you can get, so you go and get them. It's about getting the best person. Yeah,
I think that was a reference to to Thurman, which as you know, I'm not a book reader, but
Thurman was a man
in the book.
Yeah.
But I've stated on this stream before that I am a big Carrie Weaver stan from ER. So I was very excited to have Laura Inez on the show. And I still am excited to have a little bit more of her in terms of the screen time, because she's really great. So I love that choice personally.
Yeah, I don't know how it really changes anything. I mean, there is one thing that it does that I won't mention. It does make it a little bit weird, or makes me a little uncertain about, but it's definitely not like game changing or immersion breaking or anything like that.
Yeah, and obviously as non-book readers, there's nothing that's coming across to us as strange, and so we don't have the I'm not here oh, everything is so different. To me, everything is coming off as very natural. I like that there's a lot of women characters on this show that I think are well represented. So,
and Paris Denson is clearly and Paris Denson is clearly the puppet master here. So it's not like Thurman has a part to play, but it's not like they're oh, well, obviously we want to make the most important person female because for some reason that fits an agenda or something along those lines, or whatever the criticism is,
Yeah.
So I do think that this adds a lot of, it adds a lot of new opportunities to discuss, to sort of look at and discuss how things work and why that's I was, when I grew up, I read a lot of sci-fi, and there was always a lot of ideas about artificial intelligence. There's those kinds of stories are in there. And it's just you always thought about, this machine intelligence taking over and getting rid of people because, we're not that useful in a lot of ways. And I don't know. It just didn't prepare me for the way that AI is actually developing now. It's sort of like how whenever you were growing up and you were thinking stuff is bad, and obviously this climate changing is bad, and it's not going to be good for future generations. But when we need to, we'll figure it out. Like, the scientists are there, the technology is there. Like they'll come together and they'll solve this problem. And then, like, I don't know, like when I look at AI now, like all of that, anything that I see is like it's weapons or it's selling stuff. Like that's what that seems to be like the real purpose of all of it is right now. Like people talk about LLMs like they're like some magic box. All they are is they're chatbots. You know what I mean? Like they're just ways to point you in the direction of things that somebody wants you to buy. It's like the algorithm. The algorithm, when you first think about it, like, like everything we do has been influenced by AI for a very long time. Like ever since we all started looking at social media, like we gave up our power to choose for ourselves to AI, like starting then, like that's when it started. And because that's about funneling us into groups to where we can look at ads together, like ads we might respond to, right?
That's
like
so depressing.
Yeah, but that's
True.
like we're all here and we're all talking and people are listening to us because we helped somebody get an ad in front of somebody else, basically.
I mean, when it comes to like AI and like themes in this show in real life, I mean, I kind of see, there's a lot of AI used right now where to make us question our reality, right? Like there's a lot of like putting celebrities together in fake scenarios or politicians or whatever. And some of it's just really stupid and could be harmless, but then you can just think of all the potentialities for that and what could happen there. And I do think a lot of the themes of Silo are like how they shape your history and they can like reshape your reality, by erasing your memories and then feeding new ones in, right? Like this whole new history of just having one big rebellion 140 years ago instead of like rebellions that happen every 20 years. So I definitely think there's something there in terms of reshaping history even, right? Like, I mean, you can definitely use AI for that already. Like it makes people question whether certain things actually happened or not.
Yeah, that's the thing that, I think that it brings, because it makes it more like, that is like the reason why I went on the little tirade there was because we that's something that we all interact with all the time. Whereas government for quite a long time has felt like something that we really don't have that much influence over. Like it's gonna, you can vote and then that's it, like they're still just going to do whatever they want after that kind of feeling. So yeah, I think that making, like I said, when I read the story, it definitely worked for me as it was, but this actually makes it a little more something that, we're currently like kind of sorting out in our collective conscious in the pop culture or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you guys happen to see that Paris Stenson's logo appears to be half of the official logo of the silo pin that Camille wears? The only part missing is the little figures holding hands around the inside. Thank you for the $20, Josh Costello. Did you guys notice that? Because I did not.
Not at all, but I love that. I'm going to have to go back and look.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good observation.
Yeah, that is quite cool. I think that one of the things about this episode, I really like that we're getting an actual answer. Like, it is delivering an answer. Like they're going to the site where the silos that Silo 18 is, like where the people we've been following live 300 years later. The other part was though, that I felt like even if you never read the books or if you're just watching the show and paying attention, that's where they're going the whole time, right? Like that's not a surprise whenever they see the silo at the end. Yeah. It's just like, yes, finally we're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting too, because I assume that is Daniel's digger machine Maybe it's not. But
yeah,
I assumed
don't.
it was, and I was like, oh, did they not need his permission, or are they just going to get it now, or maybe it's just like a different version of what he invented.
It wasn't. Yeah, the way that they described what he did was he figured out a way to do tunneling that didn't affect the surface or didn't disturb the surface. Like that's not what was happening there. Like the digger machine is making a big giant hole in the ground, and we know from season 1 that it will go down and it'll stay down there once it's done drilling or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So you wouldn't see it on the. I don't know. I was like, maybe it has
So, yeah,
functionalities to it. But yeah,
there's a reason why they want Daniel involved. Like we talked about this last week. Helen, they want her to write about it, I guess. That's what you get from their conversation. But Daniel knows something about engineering or drilling that's important. They don't. I don't know that what we saw so far has explained that.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Daniel is so lousy at being a congressman and so awesome at developing like engineering technology, he's in the wrong line of work. Like he should have patented those drills and then he wouldn't have to call people and ask for money all day. But
well, it sounded like he was in the service when he did stuff like that. So it wouldn't belong to him anyways. The government would take it and sell it to or give it to a corporation to profit off of.
Gab, you always have your foot on Daniel's neck, and I love it.
You hate him.
I'm not letting anything from Daniel
your
slide.
contempt. Your contempt from him comes out every time you mention his name.
I know. Bonkali, who's in the chat, I saw him, like, he messaged me as soon as this episode aired. He's like, so did this episode move the needle on Daniel at all? I'm like, damn, I didn't know I had such a reputation for being a Daniel hater, but we'll see. I still think he's gonna be evil, so I don't know. Maybe I'll be proven wrong.
Yeah, I'm pretty curious how his character will play out in the adaptation too, because the introduction is completely different. So there's room for them to change quite a bit up. I'll say that the Anna going after Charlotte was a huge surprise. Like it doesn't change anything like fundamentally about the story, but it as from a book reader's perspective, that was something that that eliminated something that existed that was much different.
Interesting. I guess after this season, maybe you can let us know.
Yeah. I feel like I've said is exactly as much as I could without starting to change the way you might be experiencing things. I guess because of the time and things, like, is there anything else we need to talk about this? Because I do want to go back to the mission diary before we wrap it up. So as far as the way this better reflects our current dystopia that we currently live in, do you guys have anything that you want to say about this plane ride other than I was without a mic when you were talking about that, Gab? That didn't hit me, but you're absolutely correct that is a quick flight from DC to Atlanta for them to be able to have such drawn out conversations.
I know they need a chat, and it's probably more interesting than having them all sit at Starbucks or like walk in the park, but I was Googling the flight time, which I know that's another level of like annoying fan watching the show, but something was off.
Well, I mean, it's for your job too. I mean, for the work you do on your YouTube channel. So it's like, you can be forgiven for that. It's not as annoying as someone who just shows up and complains for no reason. Thank you again for the 10, Josh Costella. I've seen theories floating around that we are seeing Daniel struggling with memory loss during these scenes, and these are, in fact, his memories we're seeing. Thoughts?
Oh,
This is a little bit tricky. I can't even explain why I can't answer that. Or weigh in on it in any way.
I don't know what to think of that. I think it's a cool idea. I just am not sure. I feel like we haven't seen, I guess from like a TV perspective, I'm not sure if we've seen the show like use those kinds of framing devices before. I mean, I guess kind of with Sims actually, right? Where they had the fake, it wasn't really a fake out memory, but you know, they showed him suffocating Bernard out of context, right? And then it turned out it was part of a larger thing where he actually saved him. So I guess that was kind of an interesting storytelling device that the show's used, but this is definitely a little bit more like elaborate as like a full season kind of reframing. But it's a cool idea.
I definitely think there's a world in which Daniel and Helen and all of them will have to forget or take the forgetting drugs. Like maybe those NDAs don't mean anything at all and they see it and they erase them. So it could be that this is like a Daniel trying to remember thing, but I do think we could very well see one of these people being forced to take it at some point and then struggle.
Yeah, I've just been going through I've been spinning around like I have a show only theory, but it requires you to know the book stuff in order for me to be able to present it. That's why I said I can't answer it all. I do think there's something going on in the show that didn't happen in the book. I have a sense that there might be more going on, but I can't really explain it. I think that what you're saying probably makes sense to be thinking about, because they wouldn't make the whole season of a TV show about the memory loss drug if that doesn't play a larger role, like in thematically, right? Like for the themes that they're dealing with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to that, then that'll be our transition back to the mission diary. First of all, I was telling you guys in the past that I can't remember if you were both here or if it was just Chris, but there was in book 2, there was stuff that took place in the silo, but it was actually following this different character, Mission, in an earlier time period before that. You know, so this was a nod to people who had read the books, that this character, in a way to put him in there, because that didn't really solve the problem of not having Rebecca Ferguson, was to have part of the silo stuff all happen in flashbacks where she wasn't alive yet. So I thought this was an interesting way to show how this really affects people. Like we talked about that a little bit earlier with the super chat that was asking about it. What did you think? Like, how did you think this better sets up whatever happens next? I guess is the way to ask that in a spoilery way. Like the introduction of this particular relic and what's facing the people that are clueless in the silo right now about losing their memories.
Yeah, I mean, I think having just having a more physical threat like really ups the stakes. Like it's not just this more maybe philosophical idea of like, is it worth losing your sense of self or not? It's like an actual like human cost to all of this. And so that just adds this time pressure to everything they're doing to figure this out as fast as possible. I mean, I'm also just not sure logistically, like, you know, is there like a constant Like, is there any way to reverse kind of what's been done, in terms of like, is it constantly feeding the vitamin D? Like, is there a certain amount that's all that's needed, and then they can kind of stop it after that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they need a constant supply of it to keep their memory loss going.
I think they got barrels. I don't think Ed Hardwood was stealing, or Glenda, whoever was stealing that from Critical Supply. I think they got plenty of vitamin D plus.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I just think it adds a good like time pressure. I mean, I had the question too of like, what if Juliette's plan was successful, right? Like, what if they did actually cap the safeguard? I mean, that doesn't really solve the problem with the water still, right? I mean, it's still there. It's still out there. And like I said, I don't know if you can like reverse what's been done.
Yeah, I
don't know. What do you guys think about that? I think I've been trying to just wrap my head around the whole thing.
Well, they have problems on top of problems. I think capping the safeguard just means that they can try to figure out a way to fight back against those other things without just getting gassed.
Yeah. I went back to season 2 for this episode and watched the conversation that Bernard had with Lucas Kyle when he talked about Salvador Quinn, because I always go back to that conversation, and Bernard did say it over the course of weeks and months and even years. So I would assume that when all is said and done, they would need to continue putting vitamin D in the water over a long stretch of time. And then once everyone has been properly, like the doctor said, once that drawbridge has been up for too long, there's no hope of getting the memories back. So if they were to cap the safeguard, then they could get all the vitamin D out. Maybe people start to feel the beginning effects of it, but it ultimately doesn't fully take effect. And I think Gloria reading Mission's diary, it really solidified just the stakes. I think someone in the comments said, like, would you ever voluntarily get dementia? And anyone, I think, who's known anyone who suffered from dementia or Alzheimer's, it is such a brutal and terrible and scary thing to happen to somebody. So I thought that was so powerful. And even though it kind of served as an impetus to have Juliette make her decision, I think it was a really smart way the show did that. So we constantly are knowing what we're up against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that one of the things I think that it has, like, bringing this through Bernard, having him being obsessed with sort of eradicating these artifacts that tie back to the thing, but also being like wanting to know what they are, because that's his whole thing, is that he knows everything. I think that you see that it's kind of crazy, because that's what Salvador Quinn was doing, right? That's what we've been told he was doing. He was saying that if they forget their past of rebellions, of these constant rebellions happening every 20 years, then they can possibly move on and be something different, something better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the promise of wiping the memory. That's the reason for this control, is that you're saying that maybe if you got rid of those things that are defective, in this case, memories or history, maybe then you could become something better. And that sounds like some Per Stenson BS, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
like,
does.
Are you going to sign up for that?
1% better every reset.
Yeah. So yeah, like, that's where it starts to get exciting for me, because you have Bernard, who is someone who, like I said, he was a fanatic. Like, he really believed in the order because he had to. If he didn't, he was just a guy who was going around murdering people for no reason. And it's very important for who he was to believe that he was doing that for a reason. Same with Sims. When we saw him throw Trumbull off the thing, like, he had to have a reason for doing that. And so I think that's where the before time starts to get interesting, is because we're starting to get to the point where we're going to get ideas about why they think that that's a good idea. It's a good idea for those people to all be living that way 300 years later, and to have a voice or an algorithm or something else on the other end ready to gas them if they cross lines. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's about survival until it's about gassing their ass, you know?
Yeah, there's a big, like you said, there's a big ends justify the means thing with so many characters. No one is just doing this because they're this pure, like, mustache twirling villain that wants to watch the world burn. So I'm excited, like you said, to see what the justification is for either getting into the silo in the first place or continuing it as so many years go by.
Yeah. And there's like interesting themes about, like, you know, our collective history and memory, and, you know, whether it's worth getting rid of that to prevent violence and rebellions, or whether, like, rebellions are something that should happen and is actually maybe a positive thing of people, like, asserting you know, their own control and, like, self-determination, and whether that's something that you shouldn't take away from people for the sake of peace, right? And so I think those are kind of like interesting ideas that it's playing with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting too that, like, in this timeline right now, they're kind of doing everything they can to avoid the vitamin D taking hold of everyone in the silo, but, you know, Bernard was sort of justifying its use for Salvador Quinn in the past, right? He was like, well, in that case, it was worth the 2,000 people who, you know, took their own lives, or, you know, died by however measure because of these forgetting drugs, because it ultimately saved the whole silo. So it is kind of interesting how you can justify it back then, right? But now they're kind of doing everything they can to not have that happen. So it's like your morals and your line kind of just moves over time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is that Charlotte, you know, is Charlotte better? You know, she's a character we don't know, so we don't really know the answers to those questions. But, you know, when you see her giving Daniel shit, or you see her, you know, having this flirting with Anna, she seems okay. But like, is that, like, if someone can take parts of you and just decide that those parts don't need to be there, and that, you know, like, also with the doctor, when you think about trauma, like, yeah, okay, if you're paralyzed by something that happened to you, like real cases of PTSD, and you know, from soldiers and things like that, like, there are tons of examples of that, right? If you're like, if you can't function because you have this thing, then yeah, like, you obviously would want to deal with that trauma in one way or the other. But the other thing is, like, the things that for regular people and for people who you know, part of, like, dealing with trauma is that you grow from the experience, right? Like, you get over something and you realize you can accomplish, and like, I'm not saying like what anybody should do as far as, like, how they should take care of themselves or whatever. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about, like, as a concept, as an idea of, like, just getting rid of things that are, you know, that just getting rid of things because someone thinks they're not good is a slippery slope. And there is value in, like, dealing with things in a way that, like, you learn from them rather than just being able to hit a button and making it disappear.
Yeah. You go through the challenge, not delete the existence of it from your memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fascinating stuff. We were talking about this whenever he mentions the missing diary, he also mentions a spiral bound notepad as being sort of like the holy grail of relics that they never found. heads of IT had been looking for 300 years, I think he says. Gab mentioned this, and I was in total agreement. Like, for one, I thought they described it a little bit too much for it to be something that we would never hear of again. And Gab mentioned that it might be Helen's, and I went back and looked, and like, she definitely takes notes in a spiral bound notepad. That they made a pretty good. They made a concerted effort to make sure that we noticed in the scene when she goes to visit Charlotte in episode 2. So
I like that.
Yeah,
I think that's I think that's an Easter egg, because I don't know why Bernard would be like, there's 2 relics that we've been hunting relentlessly. Yeah. One of them is a spiral notebook that we've never been able to find. And here's that other one that's really important that we're going to dive into.
So I feel like she either, I mean, there's so much to learn about the past, but, you know, I think we could theorize that maybe she gets like trapped down there, or like knows she's going to end up down there and almost leaves the notebook as something for herself as a relic. Or conversely, she was just down there and was always taking notes to help future people or something.
Yeah, I still have this feeling, again, not knowing what happens, that Helen might be one of the original Flame Keepers, because we know that Pez relic has survived all those years and she's the current holder of the Pez. And we know she's against the memory reset thing that Dr. Victor is doing. So it would be cool to see her as like one of the OG rebels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's funny the way you said that she's the current holder of the Pez. Like it just reminds me of, like, you know, if you wiped everything clean, like, one thing that would definitely happen is that religions would, you know, new religions would be created to fill the void, you know, because we always look for answers and things. So that would be funny for the, you know, one of the positions in the new religion would be the holder of the Pez.
Yeah.
You have a little like Pez dispenser shrine that you worship.
Yeah, just these inconsequential objects.
But yeah, Mangala was saying, and, you know, but will Charlotte stay okay? Is she whole? And that is the question. That's the you know, the point that I was trying to make there. You know, is it the same? If you fix this, if you take out a couple things, like with the, you know, he talked about making a unicorn. Is that a unicorn? You know, if you edit the genes and you do the thing, is Charlotte, is whatever's happening in the silo, is that us? Can you just wipe everyone's memories and make them forget about all this rebellion, and that would make things better? You know, like, those are the questions, right?
Yeah, and especially Charlotte right now. I mean, they only said she has like 2 weeks of memories, and I just have to imagine, like, if you're talking to someone one day and, like, I mean, think about most conversations you have, like, you're sharing like childhood memories, things that happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Like, I could just imagine you going into a little bit of a spiral that you don't have anything to share. Like, you're trying to bring something up that you just can't access.
Yeah.
I also wonder if her instability, if she doesn't remain okay, if we'll see it rear its ugly head as she started to have that panic attack when Helen was there with the notebook. So even though they've kind of skirted around some of those memories, if she is confronted with a physical object or something that triggers it, could that, you know, be quite distressing for her? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting to the point where we need some answers.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been so excited to want to start the next episode than this. I mean, other than the crazy cliffhangers that we get at the end of the seasons, like, this was the one where I'm like, oh, I want to watch episode 8 right now. I really need to find out what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it does. They were just talking. I was just reading. There was Hugh was talking to some of the people about about the release schedule. And it's one thing that's a little bit, obviously I'm a huge proponent of week to week. I like talking about it. Like that's part of the fun of TV for me. Of course I've binged plenty of TV shows and I understand the appeal and all that. The thing that's weird about Saga to me is that sometimes it feels like it's edited more like a binge show, because that's what he was acknowledging in the comments, was that he feels like sometimes it works better as a binge. Sometimes it does feel like that, but at the same time, like regular TV used to be like that too. Like this isn't a new phenomenon to put a cliffhanger at the end of a television episode. Like that is a TV thing. That's been a TV thing as long as there's been TV. That was like, that was serially, it's told in over multiple episodes rather than just being like one and done episodes. Right. So,
Right.
Yeah. I will always defend weekly releases. I mean, that is how TV was made. That's how it always was.
I mean, I'm
and then
biased.
it was really just when Netflix came in and we had, what did they come in with at first? I think it was like Orange is the New Black and like House of Cards and stuff. And then they really
House of Cards was their first one. And then
like they really kind of introduced streaming and the idea of the binge. But I mean, that's not how TV was like originally designed. And I do think there are Netflix shows, like, because Netflix is always a binge, where, like you said, Pete, I think in the editing, they're almost aware of that. And I think sometimes when I'm watching Netflix series, it does feel like all the episodes blend together more than other shows. Like I feel like with like Apple shows like Severance or something, like I can remember each individual episode very clearly. Like I remember the names of the episodes, etc. Versus like, I don't know, like Ozark, it's all just like one big blob, except for like a few. Like they don't like have individual episodes that stand out to me as much. So I guess that's kind of the difference. And I could see maybe the case with Silo where like maybe it does have a little bit of that quality where the episodes blend together a bit versus being like, except for like something like the Generator episode. Like that is one in season 1 that like really stands out in my mind as like a singular episode, because that was kind of a cool little, I don't know, that was a cool episode, in that it was like sort of let's fix this generator, and it was somehow like so compelling. I mean,
that's what I was getting at though. I feel like what you're saying is very like that. Whenever binging became a thing, they did change the way that episodes were made, because the whole point of a binge is to keep you inside the walled garden. They don't want you to leave. They just want you to stay. They want you to watch the next thing. That is 100% like based on anything else. Like that is what it's about. Is getting you to come into Netflix or whatever the streaming service was and not leave. At all costs, you know what I mean? Like for your attention not to be broken. And they found that was a very good way to get people to subscribe and pay money for something that would otherwise be free on TV with advertisements. So that was the evolution. And like, I think that there is that feeling in some of these that they, like they're not, like, all to just go back to what you were saying, Gab. Yeah, each one I've been wanting to watch the next one right away. I've been able to not do that because of other things. This week we don't have House of the Dragon anymore, so like, you know what I mean? Like I can think about going right into the next one. But in general, I think that it just was kind of, as we get to the thing, that the anticipation is higher. And they're ramping it up, and I like that. I feel like that's a good place to be at this point. We have been here for quite some time now, so we're kind of through the notes. Is there any other stuff that you guys want to talk about before we start to wrap it up?
I think we covered everything that was on my mind.
Same. I think we went really in depth, but in a great way. I really look forward to these chats every week. So That's a
Me
big
too.
part of the fun.
Yeah. I do want to thank you guys for doing this with me. Like I said, I've been crazy. The schedule has been very, very difficult with the 2 shows coming out back to back like that. So I do plan to actually focus quite a bit more on Silo for the rest of the stretch here. And I just wanted to thank you guys for helping me keep this going in the period of time where it was crazy, because I know you guys were both doing the same shows too, so you had to deal with it as well.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm about to cover Dark Matter, which is starting in the next couple weeks. So I'm like, I have a little bit of a span where I'm only covering one show and can focus all on that. But then I'm also rewatching Dark Matter season 1 so I can prep my recap video and get into season 2. So I am enjoying this like couple weeks break, because I agree, and especially like House of the Dragon and Silo are so different. The fandoms are so different. The vibes are so different. So you really are kind of jumping into 2 completely different worlds.
And it's not light viewing, you know what I mean? Like there's massive amounts of lore connected to both series that you sort of have to, like, I don't know, for you, maybe I'm bad, like a bad example, but like I have to change my whole, like I have to just like change over my whole thought process whenever I go from one thing to the other, because it's just, it's I mean, it's cool. I'm glad that I get it. I'm lucky to do it. I'm happy. I actually enjoy my job. I don't want to act like it's like some slog that I have to do, but it's been pretty heavy so far. So I just wanted to let people know that I'll be more focused on Silo in the next coming weeks, so hopefully that'll be, the extra attention will be rewarded, because I think that we're getting ready to get some serious answers going forward.
Yeah, I know. And like I've mentioned before, a lot of the reviewers who do watch the whole season and then review it, they were all like really, really heavily praising like this last stretch of episodes. So I'm very excited to see what they were talking about. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up then. Gab, let everyone know where they can find you and anything else you want to tell them.
Awesome. Yeah, you can find me at Miscellaneous Gab. I'm mostly on YouTube with longer form content, but I do smaller recaps on Instagram and TikTok. And I will be releasing a Dark Matter season 1 explained very soon. And for those of you who will be watching Dark Matter, I'll be covering the weekly release of season 2. So excited to hopefully see some of you guys for that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the 201 this weekend and see if I'm gonna do that too.
Nice.
Yeah. And hi everyone. Again, I am Cris Cinema over on TikTok primarily. So I'm doing lots of TV reviews, recommendation lists, cultural analysis, and doing a lot of Silo right now with weekly recap videos and other theories.
Yeah. Sorry. I just saw a message. We were talking about popcorn for dinner. We were saying it was Benkele on there, and it was actually a bouvet. So just
hi.
Just to
Miss
let you know.
We covered Pluribus together. We had a fun time doing that.
Yeah. So thank you guys again. Thanks to Hugh Howey for stopping by. The open invitation whenever you're around. Come on and talk to us in real time. I'll reach out towards the end of the season, see where you're at if I don't hear from you, and maybe we can do another long form interview talking about the season as a whole. And I keep thinking about this too. Like we haven't really talked about it too much, but knowing that season 4 is going to be exactly at this time again next year, that's a lot of fun.
I'm so happy about that, because it's like the show ends, you still have like a few weeks of theorizing and then maybe 6 months and then there's press and interviews. So I'm so
like
pumped for that.
Yeah, I know it's not really necessarily ideal for everything to do it that way. Like there's probably a little bit of give and take in both directions. I wouldn't say like, oh, well, that's how everybody should do it. Like if you just mentioned Pluribus a second ago, I think that it would be pretty hard for a show like that to break multiple seasons in one go and then shoot them all back to back and still have it come out as good as it would. You know what I mean? But like for this, that's an adaptation, and that has already had 2 seasons to really build up its voice and get ready to go, and then do that. Like, I think that's probably, a good one to, I think that makes sense in this situation. Plus, Rebecca Ferguson's a huge movie star that has other stuff. And so, if you have her schedule working where you can get everybody else in there, do it,
Yeah.
Yeah. And this will keep the fan base engaged, because I think where a lot of shows lose people is like if they weren't, sometimes it's been 2 years and then people just don't feel like rewatching it, and then they come in and they don't remember anything, and then if they're just not as invested, it kind of loses them. But I think with just the year, most people will have what happened this season fresh in their heads, and it'll kind of maintain the audience, and then hopefully gain a new one faster. So
yeah. So I feel like we're good to go. You guys are both back next week?
I'm available if you'll have me.
Yeah. All right. So we'll be here next week. I might look at, since I have more time, I might look into getting some other guests to join us as well for these last few. Only, what is this? This was 7, right? So we got 3 more.
Yep.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thanks to everyone who came out. Thanks for the super chats. And I saw someone gifted some channel memberships. That's great. Thank you for that. And that's it. That's all I got. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.
And,
Bye.